This edition of Monocle on Saturday was first broadcast on the 29th of November 2025. Hello, I'm Georgina Godwin, broadcasting to you live from Midori House in London. This is Monocle on Saturday. Coming up on today's programme, we'll have a look through the week's news and culture with the author and screenwriter Yassmin Abdel-Magied. Then,
important also to point towards the interdisciplinary elements that are present in the festival, but so important when we talk about books and literary culture and everything. It's all and everything all at once.
We'll head to South Carolina to hear from the Charleston Literary Festival director, Sarah Moriarty. Plus, we'll check in with our Zürich bureau, where Monocle's Christmas market has just begun. That's all ahead here on Monocle on Saturday. First, though, the news. Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, resigned on Friday after anti-corruption agents searched his home, a dramatic turn that heightens Kyiv's political crisis. His exit comes as Washington pushes Ukraine to advance peace talks and Russia keeps tightening pressure along the front. Airbus has ordered a global grounding of thousands of A320 family jets after a software fault linked to solar flares forced regulators to demand an immediate reset of flight control systems. Airlines worldwide scrambled to apply the fix, one of the biggest recalls in Airbus's history. And Stockholm's annual gingerbread competition has opened with 151 edible creations, including a gingerbread Labubu, the Titanic, and even a miniature Louvre heist. The exhibition, held at the Museum of Architecture and Design, runs until mid-January. And that's your Monocle Radio News. Hello and welcome to Monocle on Saturday. I'm Georgina Godwin and I'm joined in the studio by the broadcaster and screenwriter Yassmin Abdel-Magied. Good morning to you, Yassmin.
Morning.
Do you know what a Labubu is?
I have heard about, people keep asking me if I have Labubu keyrings and whatever, and I think I've now entered that point in life where I'm like, I no longer understand the words that you're saying to me.
They are little sort of keyring things, but anyway, now you can eat a gingerbread one if
Perfect.
you want to.
My dreams are complete.
Now listen, you are an incredibly busy person, but it's madness to my view, but you've just taken on another project. Tell me about it.
So for those who know about what's happening in Sudan, you might know that there's been kind of a recent upsurge in violence and so on. And I was sitting around kind of being like, well, what can I practically do? I'm a sort of creative, a writer, an artist. Can I somehow use that to help? And I decided to create a fundraising auction. And so if you're interested, galabid.com/creatives for Sudan, and that's for the number 4. I put a call out and I said, if you're a creative, if you're an artist and you want to donate a piece of your art, your time, whatever it might be. And we got over 350 people donating from over 20 different countries around the world. We've got people donating, operatic singing lessons. David Nichols has sent in some signed books. We've got, wall sculptures, some incredible pieces of art, whatever. If you want to find a new literary agent, you can sort of bid on some time with literary agents. There's all sorts of things all on the website. And we've sort of been up for a few days. We've raised about £9,000 and counting. So really encourage people to get on there. If not only just to justify it to my family why I've been spending the last week glued to my laptop.
It sounds extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary.
Thank you, yeah.
And now this is, in terms of the sort of works of art, that's art from all over the world.
From all over the world. And obviously there are some incredible Sudanese artists that have contributed, like paintings and, sculptures and so on. But we've also got folks from America. We've got folks from the Gulf. We've got Australians. I think there's a Japanese artist that's donated work. And there's also, I think what's been wonderful is you also have, young people who are like student artists and so on donating, all the way to, someone who just had their solo exhibition in Kensington here in London. So really there's a huge range. And also there's people donating their time. So if you're somebody who's like creating a portfolio, or if you're somebody who wants their manuscript assessed and you want to be able to talk to someone, if you're trying to be a writer, an author, and you want to speak to someone who's done it for years and years and years, all of that is available.
Sounds extraordinary. Just give us the website again.
It's galabid.com/creatives for Sudan, number 4. Or if you just look up Creatives for Sudan, there's a few news pieces that will link you to that.
Excellent. Well, speaking of art, there's been protests in Nigeria, and this is around the Benin City $26 million Museum of West African Art. This has been reported by the FT. What are they saying?
So the Museum of West African Art, or MOA as it is now known, in Benin City, is something that's been kind of in the works for 5 years now. And it's part of this sort of move towards African countries talking about restitution of art and cultural products or cultural artifacts coming back sort of into the countries that they're originally from. But, this $26 million flagship institution is just in the process of being opened in November. But, this piece is about how even during the opening, there have been protests and there are tensions around the role of these institutions in the countries. So, for example, in this case, the sort of preview openings were sort of set up for international guests well before they were set up for sort of local artists and the community. And there's also a tension between, what pieces of art are going to be in these locations, who's funding them. A lot of the funding is coming from outside philanthropic sources, EU, all sorts of, American and European funders. And there's almost, in some of the protests from local communities, there's almost a sense of this is the same sort of cultural looting that existed in the colonial era, the 1897 punitive, British expedition, for example. And so it's quite interesting and challenging. This piece sort of is weighing up the challenges that these institutions face because, the person behind this is a Lagos-born financier and but also a Harvard Law School graduate, right? And so he's sort of setting up this idea of this is a charitable trust, but also balancing the fact that it's German, French and Danish government donors, the Ford Foundation and so on. And even though he's trying to set up what he's calling the Florence of Africa, maybe the Africans themselves aren't quite sure that they are part of this vision.
Well, there's an extraordinary artistic vision going on in Abu Dhabi. So I don't know if you get the Monocle Weekend Edition. You absolutely should sign up for it. It's completely free. And every Saturday, our editor-in-chief, Andrew Tuck, writes about what he's been observing in the world. And he's talking today about last weekend where Monocle hosted 30 readers in Abu Dhabi. We call these the Monocle Weekenders. And it coincided with the opening of a new natural history museum, and it's on Saadiyat Island, which is also home to the Louvre, Abu Dhabi, and the Zayed National Museum, which launches this week, and Team Lab Phenomena, which is an immersive art experience, as well as the Abrahamic Family House, which is a mosque, a church, and a synagogue. And it just sounds like the most extraordinary artistic experience.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, what we're seeing in Abu Dhabi is a very clear example of these countries now really moving into the art spaces. And I think, this piece in the FT about Benin also sort of talks about the importance of these museums and these kind of cultural institutions as, sites of memory and sites of kind of like the creation of an identity or the sort of the re-engagement with a country's identity. And to see that happening in Abu Dhabi and to see that happening all over, I think, these kind of post-colonial states, if you want to call it that way, I think is interesting, but it's not so straightforward, right? The sort of the healing process for these nations, you sort of have formal independence, but also there's this kind of cultural independence, I think, is the process a lot of these places are working through.
Now, there's a really huge art event coming up, and that's Art Basel Miami Beach. It launches on December the 5th, runs the 5th to the 7th. And just browsing the works and the galleries and the people there, it looks absolutely extraordinary, doesn't it?
It does. And I also love the idea of sort of art in a place like Miami. I don't know, there's the beautiful, like Miami has always been a place in my mind that is, blue skies and beach and partying and so on. And so this sort of combination, I wonder, and I know you were just there, I wonder how differently it feels to engage with art in a context like Miami compared to, say, in Switzerland. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, as you say, I was just in Miami. I was there for the Miami Book Fair, which I think is one of the biggest book events in the United States. It's certainly the oldest, and people like sort of LA Book Fair went to Miami to learn about it. And It's extraordinary. It's held in Miami-Dade College, University, and there were just writers from all over the world there. But as you say, doing this in this place of palm trees and blue skies, incredible architecture, not just the Art Deco, but these huge skyscrapers, massive lines of cruise ships and things, the noise, planes, motorbikes, it was all just... It was all just
not the quiet, contemplative, sort of setting that you might associate with a book sort of fair or whatever. Yeah.
But honestly, I re-engaged with lots of old friends, but met lots of new writers. Rich Benjamin is an incredible writer who's written about the fact that he discovered that his grandfather had been the president of Haiti very, very briefly for like 18 days.
Oh, wow.
But he didn't know this. His mother would never speak to him about it. And there's another one called Eleanor Shepherd, whose family all came from Cuba. She talks about 3 generations of Cubans, and it was just it was kind of, I mean, it was just fabulous. I really loved it. Now I was there, as I say, for the book fair, but it was at the end of a sort of book tour in the US. Before that, I'd been in New York, where I did a couple of events at Joe's Public Library, Joe's Park, and before that, I was in Charleston at the Literary Festival there. So now it's been running, it was its 9th year, and it hosts an array of literary talent discussing and engaging and inspiring with these wonderful unscripted conversations and sessions. There were Pulitzer winners, Booker Prize winners, and in fact, on Meet the Writers, David Soleil is my guest this week because he was in Charleston with me, so we managed to grab some time to sit down and chat. I also sat down with Andrei Kurkov, the Ukrainian writer, and got a lovely new interview with him. There were Nobel Prize winners, all sorts. Viet Thanh Nguyen was there. We had an extraordinary dinner with him in this very old Charleston house. And they all come along to South Carolina for this festival, which, as I say, has just completed its run for 2025. And I just wanted to bring you a bit of a conversation I had with the festival director, Sarah Moriarty. I asked her first about the background of the festival.
Yeah, it was founded by the same people who founded the Charleston Festival in the Charleston House in Sussex. So Debo Gage and Diana Reich. Debo had a connection to Charleston, South Carolina, and they decided to take the festival in Sussex and sort of trial run a version of it in Charleston, and it stuck because this year was our 9th festival and next year will be the 10th.
It's quite extraordinary, and it's just grown and grown, hasn't it?
Bigger and bigger. I mean, when it started, it was over a weekend. Now it's 10 days. Last year, we had 37 events over the 10 days. This year, we had 50 plus. And so it's growing in terms of size and it's expanding, but it's also growing in terms of reputation. And so we're attracting people to Charleston for the festival. It's becoming a real sort of destination festival, which feels very exciting.
I was speaking to somebody who said it really is now considered the premier cultural event in the South.
Well, I love to hear that, Georgina. No, that's wonderful. And, we're very excited to be in the South. And I think that's very important. Charleston Literary Festival is extraordinary because it's in Charleston. And the city really makes the entire festival. The history of the city, the evocative nature of the city, the people in the city. The city of Charleston throws its doors open for the festival, for the authors, for the visitors, for the people who, are sitting in the audience. And that really makes it extraordinary.
I was really struck in this place with, of course, a very troubled history. Slavery hangs heavy here, about just how multiracial it is and how you have buy-in from all sectors of society.
Yeah, I mean, Charleston's a port city, so it's always been a place where there are different people coming together, and then it has a difficult history. Viet Thanh Nguyen talks about the beauty and the brutality, and that you see that so explicitly in Charleston, the beauty and the brutality. And the question is, what do we do with that? And it's through storytelling, and it's through exploring history, and it's through imagining futures together that we come to terms with things, or even we try to process things, and that's what the Literary Festival is all about.
I heard the councillor, I'm not sure if that's the correct title, James Clybourne, speak. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, Congressman Jim Clyburn is a huge figure in South Carolina, probably one of the most important, prominent politicians from the state, and he is now 85 years old. He started off as a history teacher, and he has written a book called The First Eight, which is about the first 8 black congressmen that came from South Carolina, and written from the perspective of the 9th. But the book is actually about Reconstruction, the period of Reconstruction, and then the dismantling of Reconstruction. So initially there were 8 black congressmen, and there was a period of 95 years where there were no black congressmen from South Carolina, and then there was Jim Clyburn. He wrote this book because he said people often come to him and say, "Oh, you're the first black congressman from South Carolina, like congratulations." And he said, "No, before me there were 8. And he tells the story of these 8 men who paved the way, the historical circumstances surrounding their positions, and then, the circumstances that meant there were 95 years before he came along, essentially.
There was such a variety on stage, and amongst them some incredibly high-profile people. You had Jake Tapper from CNN, you had the amazing chef who used to be an opera singer, Alexander Smalls. I heard about his session. Just describe what happened at the end of that.
Yeah, that was a really wonderful session. So Alexander Smalls from South Carolina, a really incredible chef in New York, Cafe Beulah, among other projects. He's written a book called The African Diaspora Cookbook and lots more. And he's won a Grammy, a Tony, and a James Beard Award, which is pretty extraordinary. So in his session, we worked with Hunter Lewis, the editor of Food and Wine magazine, and he was the onstage interlocutor. And Hunter said it would be wonderful to try and find a way to bring music in. So at the very end, we invited Charlton Singleton, who's a musician in Charleston, to come and play his horn, to come play his trumpet. But it was a surprise for Alexander Smalls. So at the very, very end, Hunter had thrown open to the floor for questions, and then he said, "I believe we have a question in the balcony." And Charlton came over and played a solo from Porgy and Bess that Alexander Smalls used to sing. And so the whole house went quiet. Charlton played this beautiful, haunting solo on the horn, and Alexander Smalls, right at the end of the piece, started to join in with the actual words of the song, and it turned into like a duet. It was incredibly touching, and important also to point towards the interdisciplinary elements that are present in the festival, but so important when we talk about books and literary culture and everything. It's all and everything all at once, and so it's important to be able to bring in these other disciplines to create moments together.
How do you decide who's going to be on that stage?
We look at sort of what's relevant, what's resonant. We look at sort of books that people are really excited about. We get pitched a lot of books, and we sort of try and build it out as a big gestalt that hangs together. And it's kind of an art, not a science, and we're still learning how to do it. We try and get better and better every year.
So what does 2026 hold?
10 years. It's our 10th festival, so we're going to have a big 10-year kind of celebration. We're inviting people to come for all 10 days for the 10th festival. It's November 6th through, I believe it's 6 through 15, November 6th through 15, 2026 at Dock Street Theatre. It's going to be more of the same world-class authors in conversation in the intimacy of Dock Street Theatre, and incredible special events and, opportunities to mix and mingle and have a fabulous time.
Now, it was Sarah Moriarty, who's the director of Charleston Literary Festival in South Carolina. And while at the festival, I sat down with the American historian Harlan Green, and that show will be premiering on Meet the Writers tomorrow at noon London time. Now, Yassmin Abdel-Magied, who's still with me here in the studio, I know that you're on the board of Edinburgh Festival.
I am indeed, yes. The Edinburgh International Book Festival, which runs every August for about 2 weeks. For me, it's such a delight to be a part of, because it is this period of time when in the middle of the fringe and everything's happening, but there's this, it's set at the Edinburgh Futures Institute, part of the university there, and we welcome literally hundreds of writers and thousands, tens of thousands of readers from around the world. It's brilliant.
It is absolutely brilliant. I love it. I must just tell you that I'm not going to be doing Monocle on Saturday for a couple of weeks, and that's because on Wednesday I'm heading back to New York, and I am about to embark on a literary festival at sea. So I am going on the Times and Sunday Times Cheltenham Literary Festival at Sea on the Queen Mary. And we sail from Brooklyn to Southampton. And every day I'll be hosting various things. I'll be talking to authors, including Rita Chakrabarti. We'll be speaking about her book. I'll be chairing various events like the best comedy book of the year or what I'm looking forward to reading. I'll be doing workshops about interview skills and things like that. And every night you have to dress up. Oh. So I'm putting my outfits together. So it's just going to be, it's my last big literary event of the year. Of course, today is the St Andrews in London Book Festival. I'll be speaking to a couple of thriller writers there later today. But I have to say, Yassmin, I was talking about we were talking about your auction and how when you're really busy, you sort of just do more. I'm already booking for Jaipur Festival in January and Adelaide Festival in your home country, Australia, for March. So it's all kind of insane. And we were joking saying, well, you never really get enough sleep, do you? And if you want something done, ask a busy person. The thing is, are we shortening our lives by living like this? What do you reckon? Well,
they do say that stress is a killer, isn't it? Yeah. But there are some people now that are trying to tackle this sort of challenge of, the lifelong or the sort of centuries, millennia-long challenge of life and death. And there's a piece in the Times that I thought was interesting about two millennial sisters who might be creating the first longevity drug. So Dr. Karina Kern and Serena Kern-Libero are two sisters based in a research centre in Cambridge, and they're part of this, at the forefront of this kind of movement. And I've been listening to more and more kind of pieces and podcasts about it recently. This movement kind of spearheaded by tech entrepreneurs and tech billionaires, really, and most of them based in Silicon Valley, to try to extend life. Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and Palantir, poured a chunk of his wealth into a foundation whose mission statement is making 90 the new 50 by 2030. And so these two sisters are sort of, they have this a blueprint theory enabled by AI that sort of that focuses in on a particular node, this idea of unregulated cell death. And so I think it's called necrosis. And so she's kind of thinking around tackling unregulated cell death as a way to sort of extend life. But I think all of this is kind of fascinating. This push by, many different, Sam Altman is part of this, Jeff Bezos is part of this, Yuri Milner, who's, another one of these sort of very wealthy. Most of these people tend to be men as well, which is why it's interesting that these two sisters are at the forefront of this. Yeah. Really interested and invested in the idea of making themselves live as long as possible. As you say, AI is helping with that, and AI helps with many, many things. But there's a piece here from The Verge saying, would you use AI to help you with your shopping? Right. And this is a question, you were just talking about putting your outfits together for Cheltenham at Sea. And, and there are now the new sort of Google image generator allows you to sort of upload, clothes and an avatar of yourself, and you can sort of try out different outfits this way. But in the past month, and even in the past few days, OpenAI and other platforms like other sort of large language model platforms have set up or have launched shopping assistants, right? And the idea is that you can sort of say, look, I want to buy a bunch of gifts for all these different people, and they'll go out and they'll find those items for you. But the thing is, this Verge piece said that, they used 4 different AI bots to help them find a new watch. But in this case, it came up, or it didn't really use it wasn't able to find the thing that it was meant to find. Well, right? And that's because really there's nothing as good as shopping in person. And you want to go to a place where you know the people, you care about the people, it's a beautiful atmosphere. And can I recommend a place to go today? Please. It's 90 Düfferstrasse in Zurich. It's our Monocle bureau there, and our Christmas market is currently kicking off there right now. And so I'm going to cross over there now to join our founder, our chairman, Tyler Brûlé, and also our correspondent there, Juliet Linley. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning, Georgina.
Good morning. Hi.
Juliet, hi. It sounds really buzzy there. Tyler, describe the atmosphere.
Well, this is, of course, day one. We're not even 25 minutes into the start of the Christmas market. I believe this is, edition 7 or 8, Juliet. Maybe Juliet can check the facts. There are more highlighters. I just have to tell you, just what not highlights, but highlighters in front of me, because I've never seen someone present radio with such an array of fluorescence as Juliet Linley. Anyway, you got up your game, Georgina. Anyway, back to the market. We have, I would say, well over 24 vendors here today, and they're representing everything from amazing vintage pieces, so glassware, furniture, lighting from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. We have chocolate. We have made in Switzerland chopping boards and lovely stools and serving trays, and we've got great eyewear. So this is, it's you could say it's almost like a mini version of a Monocle department store here for 2 days. And this is just the start of course, of the season. And we can talk in a moment, Georgina, about, of course, the fact that we'll be showing up in other cities over the coming weeks as well.
Absolutely. This is just the beginning. Juliet, what's caught your eye?
Well, I just talked to Tom and Susan from Studio Vintage, and I know that our chairman is a fan as well. They're based just down the lake at Utikon am See. And I saw two items that I kind of like, and I'm thinking one is a 70s Pyle & Putzler glass lamp. It's an iconic
I'm getting that.
bubble
That's
lamp.
There's two of them. I've got my eye on them. They've got more in stock as well. So anyway.
And how about the brass candle
bras?
holder?
No, they don't have any bras, but they do have
Tyler
brass.
doesn't need a bra.
Fluorescent bras on sale now.
Yeah.
No, they're like
They're
a
brass.
puzzle. Did you see that? The brass candle. You can buy as many as you want. Someone bought 35 of them. You put 3 candles in each, and you can put them together in different ways, and that'll be great for like a Christmas dinner.
Yeah, keep your kids
party.
busy as well.
My kids don't do puzzles, Georgina. They don't even use highlighters.
It's true.
But then I also saw, and I know you know them, the One Oak Vintage Press Photography sector. Did you see that, Tyler? So One Oak as in one of a kind. I didn't know that acronym.
I didn't know that either.
Me neither.
No.
Cool, right? And basically they are original prints from the 60s and 70s from one of the biggest press archives that failed to survive in digitalization. So these are one of a kind because you go buy it and then it will not be there. And you've got iconic photos. Like one of them, I think it's the most expensive. It goes for 2,500 quid, but that's of Pablo Picasso working in Cannes. But then you've also got some JFK shots with Jackie on a little golf cart right before he sadly was assassinated. You've got Diana swimming in Saint-Tropez, and these are photos that haven't been seen, and some of them were never published. They were perhaps bought by Der Spiegel, but never made it to air.
You have someone in your household who likes a bit of good photojournalism.
I think my husband's going to love buying a few of those shots.
Oh, I see. It's the other way around. So he's buying for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Not Diana, though. I don't think I'm going to go for
Georgina,
Diana.
what else do you want to know? What else can we tell you what's happening here today?
I want to know about your secret glühwein recipe, Tyler.
Okay, so I mean, we'll have to get Roshdi on, but what I saw out front, there's big bottles of amaretto. That's probably not for the glue
That's for the glue wine.
That's for the Heise Chocolate. That's for the hot chocolate. Also, there's a lot of Havana Club rum outside too, so that's also part of the hot chocolate story too.
And a lot to eat.
Hopefully some cardamom too.
And lots of food stalls?
Raclette and more raclette. Listen, it's Christmas
cheese.
time in Switzerland, so yes, there's some other specialties as well, but it is going to be a bit of a bready kartoffel cheesy fest today.
And I always
Gluten and
notice
lactose.
there are so many dogs come to the market.
Yeah, I don't see too many out just this
maybe
moment.
Maybe it's too early in the morning.
But I think they're probably out walking right now. They're out walking, and then they're going to come with their owners.
Yeah,
I'm sure
lunchtime.
No, not lunchtime.
They'll be nibbling the raclette.
No, dogs are napping then. They'll be in around. I'm saying dogs at 10.
You said that this is just the beginning. So it's Zürich this weekend. What's next?
Yeah, next weekend is Paris, so this will be the premiere. This is really sort of the premiere tour of us doing a market in Paris. So it's at our offices. Well, not our offices. Our office across the street at our cafe and shop at number 16 Rue Vacheron, and that is going to be next Saturday and Sunday. And again, there will be an array of I call them brands, but I mean, this is also more world of makers and smaller producers, as much as also friends of the family as well. I imagine the space, of course, in Paris is not quite as large, but I imagine we'll probably get 16 to 20 stands in there as well. So that runs across next Saturday and Sunday. And then we continue westward, Georgina. And then the following weekend, it is the London market. And that, of course, is, I'm trying to get the dates right. Now I'm trying to do the math. Georgina, help me. Is it the the 13,
You're asking
14?
somebody who's completely frightened of figures
14.
to help.
It's 13-14 London. So listeners, if you're missing us in Zurich today and tomorrow, there's always next week in Paris. Otherwise, of course, you can come and visit us in London. And there's also Tokyo as well. And there's a small edition in Hong Kong. And there's also a small edition in Toronto too. And then there'll be not so much a market, but our Linda Egger will be hosting an evening also just before Christmas in Merano in Südtirol.
So much to look forward to. Tyler, Juliet, thank you both very much indeed. So if you happen to be in Zurich this weekend, head down to Düfferstrasse 90. The Christmas market will be continuing until 6 p.m. today. And that's all, I'm afraid, we have time for on Monocle on Saturday. Huge thanks to Yassmin Abdel-Magied, also, of course, to Tyler Brûlé and Juliet Linley. Our producer was Christy Evans, our studio manager here in London too, and Mariella Bevan was setting up with editing assistance from Steph Chungu. Our studio manager in Zurich was Desiree Bandley. Thank you all for listening. Monocle on Saturday returns next week in Paris from the Christmas market at Rue Bachemont there. I'm Georgina Godwin. Thank you for listening.